the split personality, which we will explain later. But first, I will introduce ourselves. We're Jorien, Sofie, and I'm Kaat. And we're 3 exchange students from Belgium, from the same university, namely KU Leuven, or the Catholic University of Leuven. And we're currently in our 4th year of studying Bioscience Engineering, or here it's Ingeniería en Recursos Naturales. So some more about Belgium. Here you can see Chile. If you want to go to Belgium, you have to take a flight for about 12,000 kilometers all the way to the small country of Belgium. So Belgium is located in Europe, as you probably will know, and it has 4 neighboring countries, namely the Netherlands, Germany, Luxembourg, and France. Its capital is Brussels, which is also the capital of the European Union. And the area is only around 30,000 square kilometers, which is even smaller than the region of La Araucanía. But its population is 11.6 million people, which makes that Belgium has a high population density of 383 people per square kilometer, which is 15 times higher than in Chile. Here you can see the map of Belgium again with the 10 provinces in which Belgium is divided. Then some typical Belgian things. Belgium is famous for the Belgian beer. There's a lot of abbeys in the whole of Belgium which produce their own artisanal beers. And overall, there are more than 1,000 beers of Belgium, which typically come with a personalized glass of beer as well. And maybe you know Stella Artois, which is also a Belgian beer that comes from our city. Another typical thing is the Belgian food. A lot of people go in the weekend to the frituur, as we call it, where you can order French fries or Belgian fries. And some party snacks, which are like meats, which you can see on the first picture. Then some famous vegetables are asparagus, which you can see there, and chicory as well. Some other famous dishes are stoofvlees, which is like a meat stew with beer as well, and some vegetables. Vol au vent is another famous dish, which is also with meat, with chicken, and with some sauce, all in the container made of dough. And some famous desserts are Limburgse vlaai, which is a pie, of course, Belgian waffles and Belgian chocolate. Another thing Belgium is famous for are the Belgian football players, like Lukaku, Hazard, De Bruyne, or Courtois. Belgium is also famous for their historical cities. A lot of cities have a rich history with beautiful architecture, like Bruges, Ghent, Leuven, and many more.
Some of these cartoons you may know, but you may not know that they were from Belgium. Brussels is also known as the capital of cartoonists. And for example, the Smurfs, Tintin, or as we call it, Kuifje, and Lucky Luke come from Belgium. Yes, as the cartoonists were Belgian. Then I have some fun facts about Belgium. The Big Bang Theory about the origin of the universe was actually invented or found by a Belgian scientist, a physicist, Georges Lemaitre. And he was a physicist at our university as well. Some of you that are into music may know Tomorrowland as a world famous festival that takes place in a place called De Schorre, also in Belgium. Belgians are among the highest taxpayers in the world. That has, of course, advantages and disadvantages. And you may have noticed that we are maybe a little bit taller than the average Chilean woman, but the Belgian men are the second tallest in the world. Only the Dutch men are taller. The women are not the second tallest, so only the men. And some Belgian inventions that that you may not know that are Belgian are the saxophone, plastic, asphalt, cricket, not from Britain, but from Belgium. And a Belgian man was also co-founder of the World Wide Web. This is our national symbol. It's a statue called Manneke Pis, or peeing boy, as it is translated. It's really small, it's like this size. And we also like to dress him up for some famous events, or if there is something important happening in Belgium, and it's in Brussels. And there is a legend saying that there was a peeing boy that saved the city Brussels from burning down by peeing on the fire. And that's the story behind the statue. Belgium has the largest urbanized population, which also goes together with what Kaat said, that especially Flanders is really densely populated and most people live in the cities. And the cities are close to each other. And there are more castles per kilometer than any other country in the world.
So then a little bit about the history of Belgium. Before the year of 1830, Belgium was actually not a country yet. It was part of the United Kingdom of the Netherlands. So we were together with what is now just the Netherlands, but we were in the south. And in 1830, the Belgian Revolution took place. This was mainly because the north, which is now the Netherlands, was Protestant, while we, the south, we were Catholic. And there was also a lack of autonomy to the south. So there was an uprising of the Belgians. And in 1830, we were granted independence with the help of the United Kingdom. Then in 1885, the colonization of Congo took place, which is the only country that Belgium ever colonized. It's not a nice thing about our history, but it's part of our history. So that's why we mention it. Then in 1918, there were universal male voting rights. So every man could vote regardless of their education, of their language, of their politics. Then in 1948, there were women's voting rights after the Second World War. So only then women could vote. In 1993, the European Union was founded with Belgium as its co-founder. And in 1997, Brussels became the capital of Europe. Now, language is a difficult topic in Belgium because, as you can see, we have different language regions. So in the north, you have the Dutch or the Flemish region where we speak Dutch and Flemish and where we three all come from. Then in the south, you have the French speaking region, but Brussels is located in the bilingual region, which speaks Dutch and French, but actually it's mostly French, like 85% of the people only speak French there. And then in the east, you have a small region that speaks German, but actually it's only like 1% of the population, so it's not a lot. So as you can imagine, this accounts for a lot of linguistic division in the country. There's a long history about the languages in Belgium, starting from the day Belgium was founded in 1830. So in 1830, French speakers had way more rights than Dutch speakers. So education was in French, jurisdiction was in French, politics were in French, military, everything was in French. So in 1873, the first law on the use of languages was passed, which meant that jurisdiction could also be conducted in Dutch. And then in 1883, only then education in Dutch was available. In 1898, there became the law on equality, which is a law that made both Dutch and French equal, and they were both official languages of the country of Belgium. In 1921, after the First World War,
Belgium was divided in two language regions. So the north that speaks Dutch and the south that speak French. And only in 1967, there was a Dutch version of the constitution accepted in Belgium.
So more about the culture and the religion in Belgium. So the main religion in Belgium is Roman Catholicism. So all the buildings, traditions, free days, holidays come from this Roman Catholic religion. But more and more people become less and less practicing in the religion, and especially the younger generation are more non-believers. Because there's also a lot of migration in Belgium. Other religions like the Islam or the Jews also take up a part of the religion in Belgium. Then some general manners in Belgium. In general, the Belgians are more to the point, so they will directly say what they want or what they need. For example, in the shops here, the people from the shops always ask like, "How are you? What do you want?" But in Belgium, it's more directly like, "How can I help you?" And only that. They're not like trying to start a conversation of anything. Then also saying hi to people is different. Like between friends, it's more like just saying hi or giving a hug. And only with family, it's like giving kisses, 1 or 3 on the cheek. And in more formal situations with people you don't know, you just give a handshake. Another thing that we noticed a lot here is that the Belgian people are way more private than the Chilean people. Like when you first meet the Belgian people, they may come off as a bit cold and reserved. They will be friendly, but a bit more private. But once you get to know them, they're really open as well. And then lastly, Belgians are more planners than the Chilean people as well. They, between friends, but also in family or in school or in work, things are planned like way more time ahead, and it's like way more strict that when you plan something that you have to do it at that time as well. Then a typical Belgium holiday is Sinterklaas, which takes place on the 6th of December. And it's a man, Sinterklaas, we call him, that brings sweets and gifts to all the children that were good that year. And he has the help of Zwarte Piet, who will deliver the presents through the chimney in all the houses. And the next day the kids wake up and they get like sweets and presents from Sinterklaas. But the last year there's a lot of controversy about the helper, Zwarte Piet, which is like a black man, and it's controversy with slavery. And yeah. Another thing is the kermis, which is like a small temporary amusement park in the main square of a town or a city. And there are a lot of attractions or stalls where you can do all kinds of games or go on the attractions. And there's a lot of food as well, like fries, like this, which is called smoutenbollen, and things like churros. Another typical thing is een smoske, or een broodje gezond, as we call it, which translates to healthy bread. But in reality, it's not that healthy. But it's like a French baguette with vegetables, with a lot of sauce and a lot of meat as well. And a lot of people eat it during lunch. And then lastly, the houses. Between the cities, the houses are located next to the big streets. So this makes that all the nature and the landscape is a bit fragmented. And most of the houses are made in brick with roof tiles. And they're also less colorful than here. They're mostly just gray, white, or red. So not that beautiful.
And a little bit about Belgian politics. This part is a little bit boring, but I will go through it really fast. So As you may or may not know, Belgium is a constitutional monarchy, which means that we have a king. The guy on the left, he's King Philip. He's our current king, and he's the king of the Belgians. But actually, he doesn't have a lot of power. He's the head of the state, but he has to be politically neutral, and actually is mostly ceremonial. Like he doesn't have a lot of power anymore. And our real leader is our prime minister, which is the guy on the right, Alexander De Croo. He's the real head of the government, and he's from the political party of the Liberals. But as you can imagine, with such a complex structure, with all the languages, the government structure is also quite complex. So Belgium actually has 6 governments. We have a federal government, which is people from all over the country. So it's French speakers, it's Dutch speakers, it's German speakers. But then you also have separate governments for the different regions and the different communities. So you have a government for the Flemish region and community. Then you have a government for the Walloon region, which is where the French and the German speakers live. You have one for the French community as well, only the French speakers. You have one from the German community, only the German speakers. And you have one for the Brussels capital region, where the bilingual speakers live. Now, the political parties are a bit of a mess in Belgium because of this. You have political parties for each language. So there you can see the parties that the Dutch speakers can vote for, the parties that the French speakers can vote for, and the parties that the German speakers can vote for. And you can also see how they scale on left-wing and right-wing part. The most popular parties are Vlaams Belang and N-VA in the Dutch part, which are extreme right and right-wing. But the most popular party on the French part is the PS, which are the socialists, which is very left-wing. So that, of course, creates a lot of division. It's very difficult to form a government like that. And currently, in the current government are only these parties. So the 2 most popular parties from the Dutch part are not part of the current government. But yeah. Then this all means that the government formation is very complex. And it actually means that Belgium is the record holder of the country with the longest time without a government. In 2010, we went 541 days without a government, which is a record. I think we beat countries like Afghanistan and Iraq with that. And then in 2014, we went 139 days without government. And then in 2020, almost 500 days again.
Now a bit more about the educational system, which will be especially interesting, I think, for you who are studying to become a teacher of English, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a bit different than in Chile. The children start at 3 to 6 years old in preschool, followed by 6 years of elementary school from 6 to 12 years old. And these are just general education. All children follow the same elementary school and learn the same things. And then in high school, it's from 12 to 18 years old, so another 6 years. And here the students can choose to specialize in the subjects they like. There are 4 broad categories. ISO is most general education, in which you can choose to specialize in science, in languages, economics, or sports. But then for the students who want to be more practically educated, there is also vocational or technical high school, or you can also study arts. And then at 18, you get to go, you have 3 options, basically. You can go straight to working, you can follow graduate school, or you can go to university. Graduate school is a professional bachelor of 3 to 4 years. For example, nursery, social work, also elementary school teacher or lower high school teacher. And these studies are more practically focused than university. university consists of an academical bachelor and a master's degree, which are often considered as together as one study. For example, our study is 5 years, which is both a bachelor and a master. It's really unusual to only do a bachelor, for example, at university. And a big difference is that university is open to everyone. So there is no exam at the beginning, or there is no selection. Only for medicine, there is a really strict exam, and there's only a limited number of people who can start the study of medicine. But for all the other studies, everyone can just start in the university that he or she wants. Financially, the obligatory education, so the elementary school and the preschool and the high school, are free. Only you have to pay for the books you're using and the excursions. The higher education, like graduate school and university, are about €1,000 a year, which is around 875 Chilean pesos, if I'm not mistaken, plus the pay for books and excursions as well. And English in Belgium, there was said in the beginning that we are native speakers. We are not native speakers. We only learn English at 14 years old in high school, because actually French is our second language, which we learn at 9 years old. But because all the music and all the films are in English in Belgium, everyone can speak a basic level of English at a young age. So when you start to learn English in high school, you already have a basic level, and it just gets more fine-tuned. And then university as well, a lot of courses are given in English, or a lot of books are in English, and especially in scientific studies, all the literature is as well in English. So you're expected to be quite fluent in English. And I think it's safe to say that all the educated young people can speak fluently English. I will give a little proposition of our university that we are studying at. So it's Catholic University of Leuven. This is the main square in the city. Left, there is the University Library, which is also really famous. In the left upper corner, there is our faculty. It's in a big park with a castle. And this is the place where we go to party at night, the square in the city with all the bars. The university we study at is the largest university of Belgium with about 65,000 students. It's based in Leuven, but also in a lot of other cities. And about 21% of all the students are international students, which is possible because a lot of courses and studies are taught in English as well. And there are 147 nationalities at our university. The university was founded in 1425. It was then only open to male students and was also French speaking or Latin. Only in the beginning of the 20th century, it was open to female studies, and around 1960, it was split up in a Dutch university and in a French university. So now the university is whole Dutch, or sometimes English, but basically Dutch. There are 15 faculties, 48 bachelor programs, and 138 master's programs. And like I said, the university is based in Leuven, but it also has some faculties or parts of the university in other cities, in 9 other cities in Flanders. It's also because there are a lot of international students, internationally highly regarded as the most innovative university of Europe, and it's among the top 100 universities worldwide. This is the Universal Library, and during the First World War, it was totally destructed by the war, and it was used as a universal symbol to ask for help in Belgium during the World War, to protect all the cultural heritage that the university also owns. So it's a big symbol nowadays as well. Then some differences that we experienced between the UFRO here and the KU Leuven in Belgium, because it's totally different. First, the electivos. We are really a fan of the electivos here at UFRO, that you can choose to take a course that is totally different from the study you're studying. For example, Kaat takes a elective of volleyball, I can choose to do elective of photography. So that's really cool. There are, of course, also elective courses in Leuven, but they're mostly within your study area. The classes here are also in much smaller groups because the university is really big. The classes, especially in the lower, in like the bachelor programs, are given in bigger auditoria, mostly around 200 people, but it can be up to 800 students is the largest auditorium in Leuven. So it's of course a totally different atmosphere during classes. The UFRO is more informal, and there is a more close contact between the professors and the students. It's not like, it's much more easier here to ask questions in the class, and the classes are much more interactive than we are used to. For example, in Leuven, there is also a lot of social anxiety during classes to ask questions. And it's also part of the culture, of course, that it's not that easy to go to the professor and ask for help, for example. The UFRO is also more flexible in, for example, I cannot imagine that a deadline of an exam or of a task will be moved. It's unimaginable. And here it's often happens that the students go ask, oh, can we just move the deadline to next week instead of tomorrow? Yeah, stuff like that. And because of the closer contact, that we have the feeling that it's also more guided at the UFRO, and more you're expected to work more independently in Belgium. You can, of course, always, there are a lot of ways to ask for help in Belgium as well. Yes, but still more independent. And for example, there is only one big final exam for each course at the end of the semester. And at the end of the semester, you have 3 full weeks to only study, and there is no social life. There is nothing but study 3 weeks long. And then there's 3 weeks exams, in which you have 1 day in exam, then you have several days to study for the next exam. So it's basically 1.5 months of only studying, and you don't do anything else than studying and taking exams. And here the classes are more in several modules. So we have smaller exams during the semester, which is more easy, yeah, like easy for our social life. Yeah.
Then some about the student life in Belgium. Some typical things about the student life in Belgium are the student groups and the student clubs. The student groups are groups of the faculty. So every faculty has their own group, while student clubs are more like a friend group, but more, for example, people from the same region that form an exclusive club. So the student groups have groups in a team. So for example, a student group has a team that organizes parties. It has a team that organizes sports activities for all the students in the faculty, or also an international group as well. While a student club is more exclusive, they only organize like parties or events for people that are in the student club. And like I said, the student groups are linked to the university, while the student clubs are more just a friend group and are more not linked to the university. Some other typical things is a campus, which is really famous in Belgium. It's what you can see on the first picture. It's an event where some students come together and they sing traditional songs in Latin, in German, in Dutch, in English, in all the languages. And it's with a lot of drinking as well. Then in the middle, you can see a presidium, which is like the main group of a student group or a student club. And in the last picture, you can see baptism, which is a way to enter a student group or a student club. In the student groups, it's more like getting dirty and more chill. But in the student clubs, it's a bit harder. It's like with a lot of drinking, a lot of extreme activities. And that's why the last years, it's also a bit of a controversy because some bad things happened during a baptism. And then some more about the student life because all the students only live in the student city during the week. So in the weekends they go home, which means that during the week when the classes are, all the students also have their social life. So all the parties are during the week, which means that students go, for example, to a party on Tuesday and the next day they have to be in class at 8. So Belgians can combine the fun part very well with the study part. And like I said, most cities are like really student cities, which means that a lot of parks are, in a lot of parks, students just hang, or in squares, the students also just chill during the day. And you also have vakbars from the student groups, which are like typical bars where all the drinks are really cheap, where there's also music, and it's really nice to see people from your faculty as well. Then there's also the 24 hours run, which is a sports event where all the student groups compete against each other, and they have to run 24 hours non-stop with several people, of course, but from their faculty, and the faculty with the most rounds wins. Another thing is that the student cities are really cycling cities. So all the students use the bicycle to get to the different campuses, because the campuses are like spread around the whole city. In all the cities, there's also a good international group. Like, for example, in Pangaea, you can come together with all international students to drink something, to there are activities as well and other fun things. And then the Oude Markt, it's the most famous place for most students during the night. And it's also called the longest bar in the world, because there's like 20 or more cafes or bars all together where all the people go, and you can party there all night long. Thank you for your attention, or dank u wel voor de aandacht in Dutch. If you have any questions, you can always ask us. Thank you.
Hi. First of all, do you have any problems because us do not talk to the point? Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Yanara. Well, my question it is about the careers on the University of Belgium. Yeah, right. Because here, for example, to be a lawyer takes like 7 years, pedagogy 5. So, what you can tell me about the university career? Like, how many time takes to study right there, please.
So most studies at the university contain 5 years, which is like 3 years of bachelors, which are more general. For example, if you choose law, you have 3 years of general law, and then 2 years of masters where you can choose, for example, human rights or more economical rights or something like that. So in general, it's 5 years. Only medicine is 8, 7, at least 9 years. And some have like only 1 year of masters. Like industrial engineering is only 3 years of bachelor and 1 year of masters.
What do you know about the teachers program in the university on how is be a professor or a teacher in Belgium?
So there are different ways to become a teacher in Belgium, and it all depends on the age group that you want to teach. So, for example, if you want to teach smaller children, like elementary school or the lower grades in like middle school, then you usually go to a graduate school, which is 3 years, and then you're finished and you can start teaching, and you choose usually 2 subjects to teach. So you can choose English and Dutch, or English and French, or English and mathematics even. You can combine 2 different subjects that you want to teach. But you can also first go to university, so that you can, for example, study English at university. You study for 4 years English, and then you have to do an extra year, which is like an educational master. And it's like an extra degree that makes you a teacher in Belgium. So then you have to do 1 year extra to become a teacher. But we can also do that, but not in English, of course, but we can do it, for example, for mathematics or physics or chemistry or biology, one of the sciences. And then we can become a teacher as well. And then you can teach in like graduate schools, but also in high school or lower grades as well.
Well, again, how do you learn Spanish? Like, do you have some courses on where do you from, or here in Chile?
So we started learning Spanish last year. We just took classes outside of the university for about 6 months. And then we arrived here and we mostly learned a lot during daily life. And we also now take classes at university since the beginning of March during the whole semester. So to keep improving, yeah. It's also like, because we are used to speak a lot of languages, because we learn Dutch, French, English, German, German a little bit, but it's easier to learn another language if you already are used to learning languages. So for example, new vocabulary, we can look in 3 different languages for a similar word, and often French is similar. So that makes it easier to learn another language.
It was difficult to understand the Chilean dialect.
Yes, I think so, because a lot of Chilean people like talk a lot into their mouths, like don't pronounce words and talk really fast, and a lot of words that we never heard of, like the Chilenismo, it's called, no? And yeah, so it was difficult in the beginning. Yeah. Nanay, sí.
Thank you very much, Jorien, Sofie, Kaat. And now we have learned that Belgium is more than chocolate. Yes, because when you think of Belgium, it's just chocolate. Yes. Yes. And I didn't know that you have 2 languages. Yes, different. Yes. And that French fries are not from France, but from Belgium. Yes. Thank you. Okay, I'm glad that you
Very well. So we really thank you again for being here. And well, that's all. Thank you for being you in our presentation, because I can see many familiar faces for me. So that's very nice that you came. And I hope that it was a good practice for getting in contact with the language and to see that you can understand, you see? So that's very good. When you are stepping out of this room, there is a list, so you can register your names, right? Remember, there are some little points for you. Okay, thank you again. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.